All right, as I was hitting the break talking about a little shakeup over at USC baseball, came out last night that Brian Busher, one-time Gamecock baseball standout who had been serving as volunteer hitting coach and also working with the infielders, is no longer with the baseball team. According to Chad Holbrook and comments he made after the game last night, the Gamecocks had 20 hits, 15 runs against the Citadel. He said there was a mutual parting of the ways between the two, or between the team and Busher. I don't know if this was personal. I don't know if this was performance related. Before last night, the Gamecocks offensively had not been tearing the cover off the baseball. Their team batting average was about 260, 261, 262. Let me just double check on that. I'm sorry, 272 going into last night's game, 272. And they'd hit 21 homers. So I don't know. There will be no official news conference with Holbrook tomorrow before the Gamecocks play at Auburn. We have requested an interview with him on Sports Talk tomorrow night. We'll see if we can get that together around their practice time. But according to Chad, the parting was a mutual decision. Quote, Brian and I had a mutual conversation yesterday, and a mutual decision was made. He told the Big Spur. We think the world of Coach Busher. Our program does. Our players do. And all of our coaches do. It was just an unfortunate situation. And we both agreed it was in the best interest in our program and everyone involved if we went our separate ways. That being said, he's going to continue to be a coach. He's a Gamecock and loves this program, and we're going to continue to support him in any way we can, end of the quote. Hobart went on to say, we have a number of coaches who have coached hitting. Obviously, our hitters have been well coached by Coach Busher, and they won't forget the things that he has taught them, end quote. But this does not, to me, this does not sound like a firing based on performance. It sounds like something happened somewhere, somehow. And I don't know what that possibly could be, and don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of it. It does not sound like it's a performance. Very unusual in the college ranks to fire a position. Well, here's the thing. He was a volunteer coach. So I don't know if firing is the right word, but just in simplest form, it's a firing. It's like, you're no longer going to be here. Mutual decision, however you want to word it, it's a firing, even though he was not being paid. So except through summer camps. He could make money through summer camps. So apparently they're going to move forward with what they've got on the staff right now and work it out that way as far as the hitting coach is concerned there for USC. Meantime, Clemson got its third straight shutout pitching performance last night from a starter and two relievers. Tigers have won 7 in a row, and they are at home tonight again to take on Winthrop. That's a 6:30 first pitch at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. And let's see, tonight the Tigers are going to be starting Paul Campbell against Riley Ammon for Winthrop. So we'll stay on top of that. 800-956-7266. Okay, we're going to venture into the phones. Pro is hoping he knows how to do this and is doing it right. We'll cross our fingers. Steve in Myrtle Beach, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Bro's doing an excellent job.
He is.
And you did an excellent job dancing around that Brian Busher thing, too.
Tell me how I'm dancing, because I don't know any more than what I told you.
No. I think you're doing good. I didn't really call to talk baseball. That's the subject I'll talk about later.
Yeah.
I don't know any more than I told you. Yeah.
Are you still with us, Steve?
Yeah, I am.
Turn your radio down. Turn your radio down because we're on a delay.
Yeah, I got you. My Bluetooth went out. I am so sorry.
That's okay.
But no, the two things that I want to touch base on. One is you touch base on the Gonzaga thing. I've always said this in this tournament, in this basketball, I don't know why a coach would jump to a bigger school just because. And I always use that. He done well at Western Kentucky. Took him to the Sweet 16, and then now he's in purgatory. And then it took a Frank Martin, who I just absolutely love to death, even before this Final Four run. But then the next question, and I'll certainly get off and listen. But the football program was not able to build on the success of the 11-win seasons, this, that, and the other. Look into your crystal ball for me and let me know how you 1-year run for South Carolina basketball, or can this be something that we get, or we can expect a tournament bid every year and maybe a Sweet 16, Elite 8 run on occasion, and then an occasional Final Four? I just kind of want to hear you and see how you feel about where this is going to take our basketball program, and I'll hang up. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate your phone call. 800-956-7266. If you want to join us, lines are now open, and thank you, Steve, for your call. I am not thinking that South Carolina is going to be a one-hit wonder here. This is Frank Martin's 5th year. He's been able to recruit to his liking and build his program in his own mind and his own image with his kind of players. I think a key for them next year is going to be what P.J. Dozier decides to do. Man, if he comes back, and I can't speak for him, I can't speak for his family, I think he should come back for one more year. I think that another year for him in college basketball, working on his overall game, he would just benefit greatly. It's evident that he's got all the tools. He's so athletic. He handles the ball well for a guy his size. He can get into the lane and get his shot down. He can get around the rim and contort his body to make all kinds of shots. But his outside shot right now is a mystery. Confidence, technique, fundamentals, I don't know exactly what you point to. He keeps trying it, and it keeps missing. Good for him that he doesn't force it. When he realizes the three's not going in a game, he works on other things. Transition baskets, breaking you down, getting into the lane, using his height advantage over smaller guards to go up and over. And then, of course, when he jumps, he's even higher above an opponent. And he does, I'm telling you, how many around the basket. Now, maybe he feels like, hey, the outside shot's going to come with constant work, and maybe it will come back, and maybe that's something that doesn't bother NBA people. Some of the drafts, some of the pre-NBA draft stuff now have him in the first round, late first round. If you're not picked in the first round in the NBA draft, nothing is guaranteed to you. Second round guys don't get any guarantees. It's basically try out and see if you can make the team. It can be done. I mean, look, Isaiah Thomas of the Celtics was the last pick of his draft class. I think he's done pretty well for himself. So if he returns, he would give them build around, considering you're losing Thornwell, Mackey, and Notice. Corey Holden becomes eligible, and he was a very good player at Delaware before he transferred. You'll have Silva back for his 3rd year. Cada should get better. Felder has proven himself. I think Kotsur could be that post player. To me, he's got a ton of talent and tremendous poise for a true freshman. I think he's only going to get better. We'll have to wait and see what happens with guys like Kadeem Guy and Rand Tudd and what they do in the program. And then the newcomers coming in. I mean, Doombia's had a real good year. Cud's a big 7-footer. So I think, the promise is there for them to continue to have success. We've got to hit a break. We'll be back. Don't go away. You're late. It's already 6:30. All right, Sports Talk here on a Wednesday night. Phil Kornblut with you from downtown Columbia, Main Street. Sports Talk is your sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina, from the coast to the mountains and all points in between. Glad to have you with us tonight. Those of you turning over to us from elsewhere, welcome in, welcome in. Don't forget, should you ever lose us over the airwaves for one reason or another, stay with us here on our website, sportstalksc.com. We've got the video feed going for you there, the audio feed as well. And on your smartphone, your laptop, your tablet, your iPad, whatever you use, you can also get us via the iHeartRadio app, our Myrtle Beach affiliate, our Greenville affiliate. They stream there, and we have our stations, our Columbia station in particular, which is on the TuneIn app. The Point Radio, which does not ever preempt us, except when the Citadel has a football game in the middle of the week from time to time. Other than that, they're with us all the time, our good friend Kev Cohen, looking out for his buddies here at Sports Talk. So that's another way to stay with us should you lose us over the airwave and you want to find us. You can find us, and we invite you to do so. Our phone number, 800-956-7266. The other news coming out of South Carolina, going back one quick moment about Gamecock basketball. Felipe Haas, David Beatty. That's a four-man recruiting class right now. Cud, Doumbia, Haas, and Beatty. Beatty, they say wonderful things about. Doumbia, I've read a lot of big things about. Haas is supposed to be very good. Cud, at 7 feet, might be a little bit of a project, but you take some time and develop a big man like that, can't go wrong. So a good class coming in. And the Gamecocks right now have 14. Gamecocks right now have 14 on scholarship for next year. So obviously somebody will be coming off the roster from a scholarship standpoint. I don't know what is going to happen with the future of Rand Tutt or Kadeem Gueye or Tamarcus Blanton in mind. For those guys, don't know if there's a plan for anybody to leave, or in Blanton's case, he's an older guy. He's had some injury issues. Maybe he'll end up on a medical. Who knows? But I'm sure they have a plan in mind to remedy that. The other news is Matt Figger, USC associate head coach, is being named the head coach at Austin Peay today. He's from Kentucky. Peay right there in Tennessee, not too far from Nashville. And so Matt Figger is going to be heading there. Congratulations to him. Of course, Frank Martin's been very high on him. He and Figger have been together a lot of years. And so another member of Martin's staff getting a shot as a head coach. Brad Underwood has done very well for himself, from Stephen F. Austin to Oklahoma State, now to Illinois. His overall so lopsided towards the win column. It's crazy. And so now Martin's going to have to find himself another assistant coach. This is his top assistant. And so we'll see what he does with his staff. And, of course, Figger, also a major recruiter for the Gamecocks.
I facetiously say, what's greater, going to a Final Four in 5 years or sending 2 assistant coaches to head coaching jobs?
Yeah, I'd say going to the Final Four. He would
I'd
prefer
agree.
it. But by virtue of the success, that's how your assistants get head coaching jobs. By the success that your head coach has and your team has, that's how they get to be head coaches. They knew this day was coming. They knew Figger was going to become a head coach at some point in time, and now that day has come. We'll see what Martin decides to do. I don't know what pool of candidates he will look at. Somebody mentioned to me today Orlando Antigua, who was once a top assistant at Louisville or Kentucky. He was the head coach at South Florida. Now he's looking for a job. I don't know if I think they have a relationship with one another. I think they know each other.
Yeah, but, I don't know what that situation is. South Florida, maybe some academic scandal thing here. He might have the scarlet letter on him right now.
Damaged goods. Okay, we'll see what happens. We'll hear from Martin coming up. Also, Mark Few. Back to the phones, and we're going to go to Chester. I didn't catch the name, Pro. If you want to tell me who it is.
Mike in Chester.
Mike in Chester. Hello, Mike. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Yeah, appreciate it. How y'all doing, brother?
Man, we are doing great. How are you?
I am good, man. Did y'all see where the in Martinsville in the truck series? I think it's the truck number 66. I can't remember his name, but he's gonna have a whole Gamecock theme paint scheme.
I did see that. Yeah, for this weekend, the owner of the truck is a USC graduate. The owner of that team is a USC grad, and so to honor the men's and women's teams, he's going to have some paint scheme on his truck. The Forever to Thee hashtag on the back on the tailgate of the truck, that sort of thing. Just a way to recognize what the men's and women's teams have accomplished this year.
I have one more question, man, about football this year. Do you think Blackshear will have any kind of impact? You know, I mean, 5-star coming out of high school, and he's really good. He had his little troubles, but I don't know if he can, live up to the height that he had.
Well, this is the time to do it. He's been around long enough now to pick it up and know what he's doing. He's healthy for the first time. I mean, fully healthy for the first time in a long time. And I would think that he'll have his chance to show what he can do. I mean, in high school, he was in his junior year. His junior year is when he sort of exploded on the scene. And then his senior year, I don't know what was going on. He got hurt. If I remember correctly, I think he got hurt early, maybe in the preseason, early in his senior year. Things didn't go well. Then he had the personal issues there, alleged personal issues. Then he had the issue in Columbia. So the hope is that he has straightened himself out in terms of his commitment. And he must have, because I think Muschamp would have booted him had he not. I think Muschamp has, in his mind, in his view, cut a lot of dead wood from the program, guys who just weren't buying in the way he was selling it, and obviously this kid must have. So I would think you're going to see more opportunity for him to play, more opportunity for him to produce and show what it was that made him a highly recruited prospect. He certainly has not lived up to the billing on and off the field to this point, but there's no reason not to give a guy a chance to turn things around and show what he can do. So we'll see. I think he will have that opportunity to get snaps this year and show what he can do. And we thank you very much. Let's go back to the phones, 800-956-7266. And we are headed to
Bill in Florence.
Bill in Florence. Is that right? Pro
It's Will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pro is doing a great job, but he's a man back there just going on feel right now. He's not going on experience. How you doing, Will?
I'm doing pretty good, and thanks for taking my call. I actually I heard a conversation y'all were having yesterday about the game coming up on Saturday, and I actually wanted to offer what I think is probably a little bit unique perspective. But I'm actually born and raised South Carolina fan, been here my whole life, been Gamecock fan my whole life. But back in the early '90s, when Gonzaga started their run, their streak, I was probably back then I was real big into pulling for the underdogs, and ever since they made that Elite Eight run against UConn, I've actually been a Gonzaga fan. And I've followed the team very closely, and considering, South Carolina's basketball over the course of the 2000s, up until recently, there wasn't a whole lot to cheer for. So, I always had that. I was able to have the Zags to pull for. So I think it's interesting that this is the first time in that 18, 19 year span that the schools have met. And I'm having to battle with that, with the idea of them playing each other.
Yeah.
Definitely pulling for the Gamecocks, without a doubt. I just think it's interesting that this is probably the best team Gonzaga has ever had.
All right, hang on a second. I want to hear more about that from you in just a moment. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back in, everybody. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Great to have you with us here on this Wednesday night. Back to our phone calls in a moment. Plenty of stuff still to come your way. Don't go away. Clemson and Winthrop underway, bottom of the first, and there's no score thus far between the Tigers and the Eagles as they play in the bottom of the first. Another note that I saw from John Whittle on USC Baseball is that Will Crow's going to be the Friday night starter this weekend for the Gamecocks at Auburn, and a little bit of a change there in the rotation as the Gamecocks have gone through a couple of changes because of the injury to Clark Schmidt, trying to get back to where they were prior to his injury that cost him a weekend. And right now it looks like it'll be Crow, Schmidt, and Adam Hill starting in that order for the Gamecocks at Auburn. Hope to have Chad with us on the program tomorrow night, assuming that we can work around their travel and their practice schedule. Back to you up at Clemson for the baseball game. Looking for a home run tonight? Well, you can hit a home run with Founders Federal Credit Union, which is now open in Tigertown. Founders Clemson location is located on Old Greenville Highway. Also, check out their 4 on-campus ATMs. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. All right, back to the phones. And we were talking to, was it Mike? No, who were we talking to? Bill. Will, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We've got a million things going on. All right, so anyway, I wanted to get we're going to hear from Mark Few here in just a moment, but quickly, you mentioned, in your opinion, being a Gonzaga follower, you think this is their best team?
Yes, without a doubt, the best complete team they've ever had. Throughout the past 20 years, they've had lots of star players, but it'd be one or two guys, and then the rest of the team is fairly mediocre. This year, pretty much the entire starting lineup and a couple of guys on the bench as well could start anywhere in the country. This is their deepest team they've ever had. And a lot of people are talking about Karnowski, the big guy, the bearded guy, and how tough he's going to be for South Carolina. He's actually not as big a factor as most people think he is. Everybody thinks, oh, this huge guy. The main guy for South Carolina that they're going to have to keep off of the glass, that they're going to have to keep from scoring, is actually Jonathan Williams.
Mm-hmm.
He's the hard nosed guy that doesn't always have the huge stats. That is, he constantly is fighting harder than anybody. He's and that mentality is a lot like Scenarios.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, this is a talented team at Gonzaga, one that scores a lot of points, one that D's you up extremely well too, and their margin of victory leads the country at over 22 points per game. So yeah, I think you're right. This, not knowing a whole lot about them from the past because we haven't had to deal with Gonzaga until now, it does sound like this could be the best team that Mark Few has put on the court. Let's get the thoughts of the Zags head coach, Mark Few, who was on a conference call the other day previewing the Final Four and looking ahead to the matchup with the Gamecocks. Here's what he had to say.
When you look at a guy like Shendarius Thornwell, who is obviously very talented, but also playing with something of an edge, kind of didn't pay attention to him nor his program, how dangerous does that make him?
Oh, I mean, very dangerous. I mean, his kind of whole package is very dangerous. Just kind of the intensity that he brings to the game. He can hurt you shooting it. He can hurt you off the bounce. He gets to the free throw line a lot. No, he's going to be a really, really a hard guard. And again, it's going to take probably a number of our guys, and we're going to have to obviously, shadow his direction. He's definitely going to be a be a handful.
Just curious what your thoughts are with how much of an advantage you think North Carolina has over you other three teams, because I guess they've been there and done that.
You know, I mean, hey, I think there's an advantage with the whole process. You know, some of my guys, you know, Karnowski now, this is his 5th NCAA tournament. But he hasn't, you know, I think everything's going to get ratcheted up 300% now, with the media, the demands, the time, the general distraction meter is going to go out the roof. And I think obviously the Carolina kids have certainly dealt with that and managed it great. If you look how they performed last year at the Final Four. So I think it gives them, you know, some, but at the end of the day, you know, when we get out there, you know, when the buzzer goes off for warm-ups and the ball goes up, you know, these guys, all 4 of these teams have shown they're ferocious competitors, and they have the ability to really, really focus in on a task at hand to, you know, to get themselves through the regular season and in the tournament, and then, you know, to just survive and be successful, you know, for 4 games in the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, it certainly will help a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's about who's gonna play the best for those 40 minutes.
Hello, Mark Few from Gonzaga, commenting on the matchup with the Gamecocks, in particular, Sindarius Thornwell. Thornwell, you know, he has been sensational. What can you say about him in this tournament? Delivering game in and game out for South Carolina, and you know it's tough to do when you know the defense is gearing up for you. You know, if I'm preparing for South Carolina at this stage, I mean, I'm looking at their attack. If I'm Mark Few, I'm drawing up a defense to and maybe take my chance with Dozier or Notice on the outside to see if they can hit the outside shot. Notice can, especially when he hits his first one and he gets that confidence going. He can certainly hit the 3. As we talked about earlier, Dozier has not been as consistent or as confident in his outside game as he has been with his inside game, his play in the lane and his drive to the rim. That's another thing I would do. I mean, I would certainly come up with a defense that would cut off the driving lanes for Dozier, if at all possible. I would give him any outside shot right now. I'd give him any outside shot he wants and make him shoot that outside shot. I would entice him to shoot that outside shot because, I mean, he has just been so good in transition and so good on the dribble getting to the basket. And here's the thing now, you know, Gonzaga's got time to get ready. They've seen 4 games, and they'll have, I'm sure, a pretty strong game plan. Then again, Florida knew the Gamecocks extremely well and couldn't handle them in the second half of the game the other day. When I say handle them, I mean I know it was a close game, but the Gamecocks made those plays down the stretch to pull away in the last 90 seconds and win the game by 7. So I think it's I found it interesting the caller mentioned that the big guy for Gonzaga is not the big influence on the game as people might think. The times I've seen him do a lot of good things, Pro.
Well, the thing that gets you is if he sets a screen on you and nobody tells you, it can rock your world and you will go into concussion protocol.
Yeah, you'll feel that for a little while. So, yeah, you're right. The guards on the perimeter, they've got to be communicating extremely well when that big body comes out there to set up a brick wall. Oh, he's only 7'1" and about, 300 pounds maybe? He is a big, wide body. All right, top of the hour. We'll be back.
Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. It's your final word on sports all across the state. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now here are your hosts, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We are back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Good to have you along with us on a Wednesday night. Phil Kornbluth here, the Professor Tom Hayes with us as well. Kevin McCrary on his way to the Desert Southwest, out to Phoenix to cover the Gamecocks in the Final Four. He'll be with us tomorrow night and on Friday. And you know what? Hopefully, on Monday night, be kind of cool to have him with us on Monday night leading up to the national championship game. I want to see Gamecocks and Tar Heels. I want that. I mean, people say be careful what you wish for. I say if you're the Gamecocks, bring it. Bring it, and all your academic fraud too, okay? If I'm the Gamecocks, I would say we're going to do to you what the NCAA hasn't yet, and that's drop the hammer. You know, you're going to get the hammer on Monday night, and then you're going to get the hammer whenever North Carolina gives the NCAA permission to drop the hammer, when they feel like they don't have a chance to make it to the Final Four. That's when they'll take the hammer. But, yeah, I would love to see South Carolina, North Carolina in the national championship game. I think that'd be very, very cool. And so hopefully the Gamecocks will beat Gonzaga, and I think there's a good chance of that happening. I say good chance. Let's don't say good chance. Let's say chance. There's a chance of that happening. And then we'll have K-Mac on with us live from the national championship, which means Sports Talk in this calendar year will have broadcast from the college football national championship in Tampa and the college basketball national championship in Phoenix. You can't ask for more, people. We just can't deliver any more than that. It's beyond our wildest dreams that all of this is happening in the same calendar year. And if you go back to Coastal Carolina, of course, academic year, that was really the end of the 2016 academic year, because baseball is the final sport contested in any academic year. And so that would act previous academic year, but we can all lump it in together. If the Gamecocks pull it off, men and women, but especially from the men's standpoint, because, you know, people do think first about the men when it comes to the what's the word? Now, I don't want to put one over the other, but, you know, the men's championship means more across the board. I mean, not saying the women's championship wouldn't mean a lot. The men's championship would mean more. Call me a pig, whatever you want to say, that's fine. That's the way it is. So you could have the state of South Carolina having the defending national champion in all three men's major sports, and maybe even the women's too. But they still got to deal with something called UConn.
Well, North Carolina has already decided what's more important, because when they had the fraud case, which is still ongoing, they let the women fall on the sword.
Didn't they? You talk about a program that's been decimated. My goodness, Sylvia Hatchell. I don't think Sylvia's going to sit back quietly and let her program be thrown under the bus there. At some point in time, she's going to speak out. But I don't want to delve into all this. But there's just no way not getting a major penalty from the NCAA. If they don't, then, I mean, the facts are too clear from all the reporting and everything that's been made public that this academic fraud at North Carolina has gone back for decades. And, you know, I think what North Carolina is trying to do is protect the Dean Smith years, protect his legacy and everything involved with that. And all these delays are very coincidental to things that are happening in a positive way for North Carolina's basketball program with back-to-back Final Fours. Eventually, the NCAA will get around to this and get through all the delays and the shenanigans involved with it. and it should be guilty, and there's no question about it. Okay, Frank Martin, and we'll get back to some phone calls. Bob Ibach coming up. Listen up for that. You want to get one of those basketballs, these beautiful, specially designed USC basketballs he's going to have available. Stay tuned for information on that. Frank Martin going out to his first Final Four, his team as a head coach. How is he going to handle everything? Here are his thoughts on that.
Okay, so I'm sure I'm going to, I almost said the wrong word here, aggravated people. I'm sure I'm going to mess up some stuff here this week. Okay, I feel pretty good about the X's and O's, but there's some other things that I'm going to mess up, and there's going to be some people who will be mad at me for this week. I spoke with Billy Donovan, and I spoke with Hugs yesterday. So they can kind of give me perspective as to how to best manage this week so I can prevent distractions from our staff, from our players, because there's a lot of windows for a lot of distractions. How I can manage the time of the day. There's not enough minutes in the day to cover all the things that we're being asked to cover right now. And pay attention to the reason we're going to Phoenix, which is not to do press conferences or celebrations. It's to play basketball and compete for a trophy. I spoke with both of them at length about those things, and it was real good for me. It cleared my mind of a lot of things, up a lot of stuff, because I'm a stubborn SOB, and I'm eventually going to do stuff my way. But that gave me clarity. It allowed me to think so I can put my own flavor into how we want to manage this week. That's what we spoke about. We briefly spoke about Gonzaga, not a whole lot. Hugs, and I met few through Hugs. They're very good friends too.
10 seconds.
So I'm not going to put a friend of mine in the middle of that. I'm sure Fuey isn't calling Hugs to ask him about us, and it wouldn't be fair to Hugs to do that to him.
All right, comments from Frank Martin. Yes, he's going to rely on the people he knows to help him out a little bit, but you know what? You just have to kind of an experience and learn it on your own, and I'm sure Martin can figure everything out and handle it. Quickly, back to the phones we go, and we are headed to where? To speak
Hal
to who?
in Lancaster.
I can't hear you. Going where?
Lancaster.
Lancaster? To talk to who?
Hal.
I can't. Go ahead, whoever's in Lancaster. Who's this?
This is Hal in Lancaster, South Carolina.
Okay. Hey, Hal, how are you?
Doing great. Wanted to shed a little light. I am a avid Tiger fan. Was in Tampa, kind of a football guy. My dad played for Frank Howard, and but I'm also a basketball fan and a Sundarius Thornwell fan. And just to tell the listeners out there a little bit about Sundarius, I'm the recreation director in Lancaster, and Sundarius grew up in our youth basketball program. So I got to watch him grow up. He actually graduated class and was able to play on several all-star teams with my son. And to watch him grow and mature over the years, because Sundarius wasn't always a kid, and he's really grown up. He comes by the gym, spends time with the kids, is always involved when he's in town, and it's a yes sir, no sir type of thing. And just proud of him and what he's done, and how he's represented the state of South Carolina in general, the University of South Carolina. Even though I'm not a guy, proud of him and enjoyed watching how hard that team plays. And I just wanted to see, they talk about you don't see Sundarius recognized nationally like other players, but was wondering what your opinion is of his draft stock now.
Okay.
And I'll hang up and listen to you on the phone.
Thank you very much. We'll address that after the break. Crow will dive in on that too, because he keeps up more with that pre-draft stuff, that mock draft kind of stuff. But yeah, what a growth spurt, both in terms of his physical skills and his maturity for Thornwell over his 4 years. Be right back.
Test, test.
Yes. I don't think we must not.
I just had it down here. Can you hear me? No. You can't? Test, test. You don't hear me at all?
You got it turned on?
Yeah, Test. Yeah, the needle is moving. Test, test. Huh. Something is not right.
That's weird.
I wonder if it has to be an audition rather than program.
If
Well, about B.
no, that's
Okay.
It's up here. It's
Okay.
producer Mike.
Huh. That's strange.
Studio Mike 1. That's me. Now,
I'm on the producer live.
pull it all the way down. Pull it all the way down. Oh, well, here's how you. All right, up at Clemson, Winthrop and Clemson are 1-1. They're playing in the top of the third. Clemson scored a run in the bottom of the first. Take a 1-0 lead. Tigers scored on a single by Williams, RBI for him, unearned run. And then Winthrop came back. Mulkey, a double down the line, scored a run. Tied things up 1-5-0 for Winthrop, 1-3-2 for the Tigers. Tigers looking to go for their 8th win in a row tonight. Don't forget basketball tonight. Coastal Carolina playing at Wyoming. Championship series of the CBI. Looking to win that championship. Furman at St. Peter's tonight playing in the semifinals of the CIT. All right. Bye back is joining us now from Chicago. We got recruiting coming up for you in a moment, but Bob's going to tell you all about how to get these beautiful basketballs for a great cause, these USC memorabilia type basketballs that you want to have, you want to keep forever. Did the same thing for Clemson football, did the same thing for the Panthers when they were in the Super Bowl. And Bob, you're doing the same thing for Gamecock basketball fans.
Well, listen, we're just trying to spread the wealth around to a lot of different charities. I'll tell you, we've been down your area a lot, and it's just enjoyable. This time we're working around, as I mentioned the other night when we kicked this off, with the Boys and Girls Clubs of South Carolina to raise a lot of money for deserving kids throughout the state. I want to emphasize what I'll be talking about with these special Final Four basketballs that are made by Wilson, the real deal, officially licensed for the Final Four, and only 5,000 will be made. The proceeds will go to the Boys and Girls Clubs, and the money will stay to help out kids in the state of South Carolina. It's not going outside the state, so it stays here. The basketballs are $99. They are full size. Somebody asked me that the other night. Are these miniature ones or large ones? No. Regulation size basketballs made by Wilson, the same kind that will be used in the games out in Arizona this coming weekend. With the addition on these, you'll have several white panels on there with some really cool information and logos on them. And in a second, I'll give out a toll-free number and a website how you can purchase these to help out the Boys and Girls Clubs for just $99. We start out with 5,000. We're about 1/3 of the way sold out. So these are going very quickly. These will probably sell out by the end of the week because this is the first time ever for Gamecock fans to say they're in the Final Four. What you'll have on the ball is the Final Four logo. It's very colorful, right on one of the white panels right next to the Wilson trademark name. On another panel, we'll have a complete rundown of all the games played by the Gamecocks this year, regular season, game by game in order, with the date, the opponent, and the final score, so you can look back years from now and see how history was made. And then we have another section on there, which is always one of my favorite at this time of the year, the road to the Final Four. We have the school logo right there in the center, and then on either side of that, we've got the games that the Gamecocks played in the postseason in the March Madness tournament. And, of course, you got those big wins against teams like Duke and Baylor and Florida, all in there as they get ready to play Gonzaga on Saturday. Now, if they go on to win this thing, 2 more wins gets them the national championship. We will also add on that same panel national champions. So this ball will be made and it'll be updated. So if you'd like to order these, again, only $99. They are going very quickly. I do urge people to get on the phones and call because you'll be left out. We're not going to make any more than 5,000. The number to call is 1-800-345-2868. Again, it's toll free, 1-800-345-2868. And if you can't get through the phone lines, because I know the other night, as soon as I hung up from you guys, the phones were just busy. Just go right to the website. You can order it right online. You won't get left out. NICOsports.com, NIKCO-sports.com. And I think you'll really be impressed when you see the basketball. People will come into your home or office when they see this thing and say, wow, where did you get this? And you're thinking about gift ideas coming up, next couple of months. You got Mother's Day out there, Father's Day. You've got anniversaries, graduations, and this would make an excellent gift idea. And you don't have to go anywhere to get it. You can just order it right over the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me that number one more time.
Sure. 1-800-345-2868. 1-800-345-2868 or NICOsports.com. NIKCO-sports.com. And I know we'll be checking back with you each day the rest of the week as we get a little closer. And I can't wait for the games to begin on Saturday. I wish it was Saturday already.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Last thing, I know with the footballs, they came in a glass case.
Yeah, it was an acrylic display case.
Yeah.
These don't come with that, but you can, when you call, you can inquire about them. There's a couple different types of cases you can get for a little additional money. But the footballs did come with it. These don't, because it's a little bit bigger of an item.
Sure.
They don't come with the case, but you can get a very nice upscale case, and I would encourage people, I know I always do, because you're going to want to put this and display it, put it up in your mantle, put it in your man cave or whatever, and it really makes it pop extra, and it protects it.
Sounds great. Bob, listen, man, you do a fabulous job. Thank you for including us every time this happens. And, of course, we're happy to have things happening that bring you to us. And we'll talk to you later in the week.
That sounds terrific. You guys have a great night now, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Bob Iback, great guy. This is a guy many years with the Cubs, played basketball at Maryland, and now he's devoted to helping out these worthwhile causes by giving you, our listener here in South Carolina, the opportunity to get your hands now on these basketballs. Only $5,000, and it's only $100. My goodness. You got to get your hands on these things, people. If you're a Gamecock fan, you don't know if this will ever happen again. You just don't know. Getting to the Final Four is so tough. Now, is it any tougher than football? Not necessarily, because football, you've got to win your regular season games. You've got to be good week 1 through week 12, and then you've got to win your conference championship game, and then you get to play in the semifinal, and then you get to play in the championship. So I'm not saying the road to the Final Four is any tougher. It, too, is a grind. The regular season in basketball, I mean, let's face it, it's not quite as crucial as it is for football. Obviously, you play many more games, but you can lose games. You can lose a lot of games in basketball. If you happen to be in the right conference, if you happen to have the right pedigree, you can lose a lot of games and still make the tournament and then get your shot. Okay? Football, you can't do that. One loss is about it. Have we had a 2-loss team yet in the new format make it to the semifinals, the college football playoff? I don't think we've had a 2-loss team, have we? My mind is all basketball now. I'll have to go back and look. I don't think we've had a double-loss team make it to this point. But it's a grind either way. And the baseball, obviously, is a grind, too. The baseball format might be the toughest grind when you think about the wear and tear on your pitching staff, and you got to win that regional. And that could eat up your pitching staff. And then you've got that pressure-packed super regional the next weekend. That's very, very difficult. Omaha is a breeze when you think about it. All you have to do in Omaha is win your first 2 games. You win your first 2 games, and then you're in great shape. You're in the winner's bracket. I think then, if my memory serves me right, the way the bracket's set up, let's say you play on Sunday, you get Monday off, you play on Tuesday, plenty of time to rest your staff and your players, and it's baseball. Let's just remember that. It is baseball, which is the more leisurely of the 3 sports. All right, we'll be back with more. We'll give you the recruiting report here after the break. We'll continue with your phone calls. You know what? I think I misjudged the night. I don't think we have SC Wild tonight. Thought we did. Guess we don't. So we should have some opportunity to hear from Dabo Sweeney coming off the practice field. The Tigers did scrimmage today. We'll bring you details on that coming up, too, right here on Sports Talk. As if we don't have enough going on in our part of the world with the Gamecocks in the Final Fours, we got the Masters coming up right around the corner next week. The golfers will be hitting Augusta National. That means the RBC Heritage is right behind at Harbor Town at Hilton Head Island. I want to remind you that Hilton Head Island's RBC Heritage, presented by Boeing, cranks up on April the 10th. So get your tickets now. If you haven't, get online, get those tickets. Call the RBC Heritage. Get those tickets, rbcheritage.com, rbcheritage.com.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know you got recruiting coming up, but Hal from Lancaster called. Phil, from what little I've been reading, that Sindarius may be creeping up into the middle to latter portions of the first round. That's not a bad thing, because that means he could work himself into that first year being a player off the bench for a good team.
Mm-hmm.
He won't have to suffer the growing pains of playing for a team that's trying to struggle at this point in time. You remember our buddy Mike Morgan telling us that talking to NBA scouts and games that he's done for the SEC network with South Carolina, scouts ostensibly come in to look at Dozier. They will wait a minute, hold it. Who is this number 0?
Yeah.
And they start looking at him.
Which is a shame that, my goodness, if you didn't already know about Sindarius Thornwell by now, where have you been? I mean, he wasn't chopped liver last year. He was good last year. Go back and look up his numbers. He was good last year on a 25-win team. He has just been so steady this year. His consistency, game in and game out. You know, see, people are just discovering Thornwell because he's on the biggest stage. But you go back and track his season, and you see that from the opening of the season, with the exception of the 6-game suspension, he has been unbelievably consistent. He opened up against Louisiana Tech, and let's see here. I got to find the right guy. Give me a second. He opened up against Louisiana Tech. There we go. Opened up against Louisiana Tech with 18 points, 20 against Holy Cross, 23 against Monmouth, and on it has gone. He has scored in double figures in every game he has played this season. The fewest points he has scored in a game, 11 against Vermont. And in the past, let's see, going back to in the last month, going back to February 28th, he has scored 20 points or more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 7 games. He has just been, and of course, I mentioned this last night. I saw one of those, I think it was Elias Sports stats or somebody that popped up. Second most points scored in the NCAA tournament after 4 games, I think, if I saw that stat correctly. Second most points. Maybe it was second most points by a guard, or it might have been second most points all time scored after 4 games of the tournament. I mean, what? He had, what do you have against Florida? 20, was it 24 against the Gators, 24 against Baylor, 24 against Duke, and 29 against Marquette in the NCAA tournament. That's pretty solid. All right, the recruiting now. I got to get to the recruiting, of course. We'll get back to your phone calls. Linebacker Quinn Williams of Madison, Georgia, visited USC over the weekend, said tonight he's now favoring the Gamecocks. He plans to return for the spring game. He also has offers from Florida, NC State, Michigan, Michigan State, Mississippi State, and Tennessee. Defensive end KJ Henry of Clemens, North Carolina, said today he'll be at USC spring game Saturday. According to Paul Strelo of Tiger Illustrated, offensive lineman Jackson Carman of Fairfield, Ohio, one of the nation's top offensive tackle prospects, is now favoring Clemson after visiting Clemson with his coach on Monday. Place kicker Camden Wise of Blacksburg, Virginia, was at Clemson over the weekend. He's in a wait-and-see situation with schools regarding offers, but Clemson let him know there is serious interest there. He has strong interest in return. He was there at the kicking camp last summer. He'll be back this summer. He said an offer from Clemson would be a big deal. He's also been to Old Dominion and Charlotte, and he's going to James Madison Saturday. Clemson last night offered wide receiver Justin Ross, 6'4", 195, Phoenix City, Alabama. He's a national recruit with multiple big-time offers. He's committed to play in the Under Armour All-American game, and he also has an offer from the Army All-American game. What's an All-American to do? Linebacker Taraja Mitchell of Virginia Beach plans to visit Clemson soon. USC target defensive back Jonathan Gibson of Houston, Georgia, offered by Mississippi State. He's picked up several offers in the last few days. Defensive back J.C. Horn of Alpharetta, Georgia, is a top USC target. USC's in his top 15. He released that a while back. He remains in touch with Travaris Robinson. They talk, he said, once or twice every couple of days. He says they have a good relationship. And he said the Gamecocks with him are in a good place right now. They're high up on his list. He likes the fact they're in the SEC. They're close by, and he just likes the Gamecocks right now. He sees a chance, of course, for playing opportunity as well. He also believes, he said, in the process with Muschamp and the things that he's building in Columbia. So he said South Carolina's real high on the list. He also has offers in his top 15, Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia Tech, Wake, West Virginia, Florida, Ole Miss, Louisville, Ohio State, Missouri, and LSU. He is going to Tennessee this weekend for a spring practice. He also wants to get to Ole Miss for a spring practice or for the spring game. He also plans to visit Ohio State. He's been to USC, Wake Forest, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, and Georgia Tech. Basketball, Kentucky's John Calipari, who's got some time on his hands since he's not in the Final Four, was in Spartanburg last night to meet with Zion Williamson. He had not offered up until that point. He offered last night. Williamson putting that on his Instagram. 6'5", Trey Wirtz of Charlotte. His offers now include Clemson, Virginia Tech, Davidson, Old Dominion, Tulane, Richmond, and Charlotte. Plus, he's hearing from Stanford, Villanova, Xavier, Providence, Georgia, Georgia Tech, and others. He says he's wide open. He doesn't plan to pare things down until after AAU is over. He's been pretty steady with his involvement with Clemson. He said they came to a few of his games, and they want to see him a lot in AAU as well. Speaking of Clemson, I listened more. I don't know if you went online and listened more to Dan Radakovich's comments. Very good stuff last night between the media and Radakovich. Radakovich said there's going to be changes on Brownell's staff. Don't know exactly what, but that's what he said. He also was asked, why would you give Brownell during his record at Clemson, and you wouldn't give Jack Leggett more time considering his record at Clemson? His response basically was he likes Brad more than he liked Jack. He didn't say that, but that was the answer. The difference in the two people basically is why Jack, even though Jack had taken Clemson to the tournament, NCAA tournament, they went 0-2 at Vanderbilt that year, and he was not retained. I think the personalities and just his relationship is different with the two men, and that's why Brownell gets the benefit of the doubt and has the what's it called? What was it that Mike McGee used to say? Was it McGee who used to say the suitcase? No, what was it, Pro? The change? He had the money in the bank, whatever the case may be. He just has a better relationship with Brownell and is willing to roll with him at least one more year to see if he can get the Tigers into the NCAA tournament. If you haven't had a chance to listen, it's on our website, sportstalksc.com. Real good stuff between the media up there in Radakovich, and we'll be back. All right, Dabo Swinney coming up for you in just a moment. Tigers have wrapped up a 100-play scrimmage, and we'll let you hear his thoughts on that in just a moment. Clemson down in baseball 4-1. Winthrop 4-7-0. Clemson 1-3-2. Meantime, USC baseball off tonight, traveling to Auburn this weekend. You can relax if you're in Columbia because Founders is hitting it out of the ballpark. Founders, Federal Credit Union's new office at the Commons at Bull Street, is opening soon. So in the meantime, visit on campus at the ATMs at the Russell House. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. All right, up at Clemson today, besides the baseball, 100-play scrimmage held at the stadium, second of the spring. Tigers worked for over 2 hours, and Cornell Powell was the top receiver, 5 catches for 78 yards. TJ Chase, 5 catches for 41. Kelly Bryant, 8 of 14 for 94 and a rushing touchdown. Cooper, 4 of 10, 28 yards, a touchdown. Tucker Israel, 7 of 13 for 37 yards. Hunter Johnson, 5 of 11, 110 yards and a touchdown. Tavian Feaster, 7 rushes, 54. Played well. Let's see here. In general, played well. Isaiah Simmons led all tacklers in the scrimmage. O'Daniel and Chad Smith had 5 tackles apiece. Dexter Lawrence had a tackle for loss on the first play. They had a lot of the scrimmage set up with the defense coming off the goal line. They put the ball on the 1-yard line and wanted to see if the defense could hold the offense down. Unfortunately, in Sweeney's mind, the offense did a nice job coming off the goal line to make a first down each time. There were no injuries to scholarship players during the scrimmage, and no new injuries were reported. So with that background, not knowing what he had to say, our first time hearing this, here's Dabo talking to the media a little while ago about the scrimmage.
Well, scrimmage 2 in the books, day 10 in the books, and we got a lot. I think we've gotten a lot accomplished in the first 10 days, but we got a lot to evaluate off of this tape. I'm really anxious to watch the film. I thought there was really good competition out there today. There was wins and losses on both sides, which is usually what you get from a scrimmage situation like this, especially scrimmage in 3 groups. But a lot of good. There was a lot of good. I saw some individuals step up and make some plays. Saw some young guys do some good things. I was a little disappointed with a couple of the veteran guys that we're counting on that I didn't think performed quite like they needed to. They know who they are. But again, overall, some good things. The defense, I thought, had another solid day outside of the coming out. Really did a poor job in defense, coming out defense. But outside of that, I thought they had a pretty consistent day. There was a few big plays, but all in all, decent. And then offensively, same thing. Pretty solid day, competitive. Very disappointed in the 2-minute drive at the end because we had a chance to be in position to kick a field goal to win it, and we give up a sack, fumble. Great play by Clee and Christian, but just like I said, it was very competitive on both sides. We did a lot of special teams work today, and with kickoff coverage live, punt coverage live, punt return, kick return, field goal work. So put them in a lot of different situations. Got into some goal line, got into some 2-minute, and all of that was good work. Biggest disappointment to me, if I just had to say I was disappointed in one thing, really, is both sides. There was too many penalties. I quit counting on the procedural penalty. The first scrimmage, we didn't have hardly any procedural issues, and then today we couldn't stay on side. We had a ton of penalties in the offensive line, just jumping off side, stupid stuff. And then defensively, we had some very careless, undisciplined penalties. We had 2 personal fouls, one in the red zone on a throwaway. We hit the quarterback late. And then we had another in coming out where we personal foul after the whistle. So that costs you ball games and costs you momentum in ball games, and definitely some things that we can learn from and teach from. But all in all, I thought it was a solid scrimmage and a lot that we can teach from.
Dabo Swinney, some of his comments after the Tigers scrimmage today, and again, they went 100 plays, and apparently they feel like everything went well for them. No injury, standout plays. Go ahead and kill that, Pro. I can hear it in my head. Some good play all the way around, both on the offensive and defensive side. So main thing is you didn't get anybody hurt. Tigers will have another scrimmage on Saturday. Then they have another week to go before they wrap up spring practice. Quickly, Billy in Greenville, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Fine. I was just thinking there's a new entrance that the basketball team can do now. I saw it on Sports Talk. They actually, like when they came in the other night, they had a bus that ran around the stadium. My thing is that maybe have a bus go around twice and then just have them enter next season that way. Don't you think that's kind of original?
Wait. Give me that one more time. I was a little bit distracted here because we got a million things going on. Give me that scenario one more time.
I saw something on Facebook where it just showed them going around the regional. And, I just thought something original would be maybe the basketball team going around the stadium twice and then entering. Don't you think that's sort of new and original from my point?
Yeah. You mean when you say the stadium, you mean the stadium?
Basketball.
You mean in Phoenix or here in Columbia for like a regular season game?
Regular season game. Don't you think it would be original? So
make it their tradition to take the bus around the arena and drop them off and let them run. You mean are you sort of stealing from Clemson there and what they do in football?
Yeah. I was just being facetious.
Ah.
I saw that the other night, and I said, hey, we have an interest too.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Just being funny. That's all.
You know what? That's good. It's creative and it's funny and it's all good. Thank you very much, and a good way to wrap up the calls tonight. A lot of good calls tonight. Certainly appreciate it. Update from Clemson. I had a feeling the Tigers weren't done. They're down 4-1. They do have the bases loaded and nobody out in the bottom of the fourth against Winthrop. So we'll see if they can come up with the big hit. Pro, you did a marvelous job tonight. It wasn't all that bad. It's all good. You did a great job. We have relief coming in for you tomorrow and Friday. Okay. Well, our bullpen was depleted today. We're like a team trying to work its way through the regionals and super regionals, and the manager here used up his bullpen, had nobody else left. But we got help coming in tomorrow. Got an ace coming out of the bullpen tomorrow. And also K-Mac will join us. Now the Gamecocks tomorrow and all the teams will be practicing. There will be press conferences. South Carolina is the first team up as the number 2 seed of the first game, the lower seeded team of the first game. They will go first tomorrow with the locker room being open. And then Frank Martin will meet with the media, and then I guess they'll get some time on the court there at the University of Phoenix Stadium. Pro, you got to get used to that dome and get used to those shot lines. That's going to be weird.
Well, first of all, you said your bullpen has been depleted.
Yeah.
I think more of calling you Bud Selig. You ran out of All-Star game.
We did run out.
They got to get used to it, but I think if they get comfortable, and I like what B.J. Mackey said the other night. I don't believe these guys know what they're doing yet. So maybe they don't know the sight lines are bad when they get in the dome.
We shall see. Clemson scores a run, 4-2, and still no one out. Have a great night. We appreciate you being with us. See you tomorrow.